Greetings. Today, I hope that you are practicing radical self-care. What does that look like? I believe that looks like meditation, prayer if you have a spiritual practice, going to Codependence Anonymous, or adult children of alcoholics or in dysfunctional families, perhaps getting a trauma therapist, availing yourself of coaching, reading books on how to heal codependence, or if you don't identify as a codependent, reading books on how to heal trauma, addressing the symptoms of PTSD, recognizing triggers, and in a daily practice of mindfulness, going about your day, when acknowledging when you are receiving a trigger and calming down your autonomic nervous system, deep breathing, cold showers, all sorts of things you can do to calm down your nervous system. In this video, what I'm going to talk about, what I'm going to go over, is more on boundaries. And I believe that boundaries are a huge part of sort of curing or treating codependent characteristics. Codependence is not a mental health diagnosis. It is a learned pattern of behaviors that one learned usually in childhood as a reaction to trauma, fight, flight, freeze, fawn. And it is about, sort of this people-pleasing and accommodating that we may have learned as children in order to survive the family of origin. Why this can place us in sticky situations in the future is because codependents are often attracted to or attracted by people that have narcissism or a character disturbance. You can kind of look at it as like codependents are more like neurotics, and narcissists are more like have a fundamental like character disturbance. They were not given the tools or the skills to sort of the narcissist to empathize with other human beings. So they came from families of origin with where empathy was either not modeled or it wasn't something that was respected in the family. It may have been, winning at all costs. External achievement doesn't matter how you're feeling internally. And then the codependent typically tends to have characteristics of sort of pathological giving, not setting healthy boundaries, saying yes when you really mean no, not protecting yourself, putting other people's needs, wants, desires above yourself. You may identify as being a fixer, a caretaker, an enabler, trying to fix the external in order to deal with the internal neuroses. So one part of codependence is, setting boundaries and, having other people respect our boundaries. But another part of this is learning to respect other people's boundaries. And in order for me to be able to, set boundaries, communicate boundaries, enforce boundaries, it's really important that I also respect other people's boundaries. And this can be very challenging for codependents because we may have grown up in enmeshed families with either a narcissist or an addict with a codependent, and that was the dynamic that we saw played out. That may have been the modeling that we saw in our families of origin. And so boundaries and respecting others' boundaries and respecting our own boundaries and setting boundaries and establishing and maintaining them may be very foreign to us and may be very difficult for us to understand. So it's very important that we respect other people's boundaries. And this can look like how we treat other people can look like, us being willing to respect their limits, their no's and their boundaries. And that can look like honoring their limits, respecting their rights and privacy, asking, not assuming, not expecting, demanding, or manipulating, asking for our needs to be met. We don't demand, manipulate, expect, or make assumptions. It may also look like keeping our word. It may look like giving the other person agency, like saying, hey, is this a good time to talk? Or is this a good time for us to discuss this? Or, hey, can we talk about this over the phone or in person rather than text? Like, sort of really paving the way for open, honest communication. It may also look like not showing up to other people's homes or offices unannounced. It might look like not borrowing from other people without asking permission. It may look like, respecting others' limits, telling them the truth, not accusing others without checking facts. It may look like not forcing our beliefs onto others. It might look like not taking from others without asking, aka stealing. It might look like not intervening or getting involved in somebody's situation if they didn't ask for our help. It may look like not manipulating others. And sometimes codependents can manipulate. I don't think that they're usually very conscious of this, but they certainly can also manipulate. Maybe narcissists aren't conscious of it either. I don't know. Maybe it's just a defense strategy to get their needs met. And then it might also look like refraining from gossip, not talking about somebody when they're not in the room or when they're not around. Again, not making assumptions. I think, often people that have trauma or codependence will make up all sorts of assumptions in their head about why somebody's doing what they're doing or where they're coming from. It might look like not asking for over-the-top favors. It might look like if somebody's asked us not to contact them or call them or text them or email them, we respect that. We don't call someone if they've asked us not to. And if you are not clear on what somebody's boundaries are, then please ask them for clarification. Be like, hey, I'm not really clear on what your boundaries are in this regard. Can you clarify? Can you provide some information so I can respect them? Because I really want to adhere to your boundaries and I don't know what they are. And then also, obviously, if you're dealing with a narcissist or a psychopath or a sociopath, like these people in general do not respect boundaries. When you say no, they try to figure the way around it. They just absolutely, they're so entitled typically that they absolutely refuse to respect other people's boundaries. In their minds, they're like, how dare you tell me no, right? So I understand that setting boundaries with toxic people might be almost impossible. And sometimes the best boundary you can set is no contact. Like this person over and over again, I've explained what my boundaries are. I've made it clear. They say they understand, but they keep violating my boundaries. Well, that's a portion where in the very end, you probably didn't either have a consequence for the boundary violation or you did not enforce the consequence. Because sometimes the consequence when you're dealing with somebody who's toxic is you remove yourself from the relationship. You remove yourself from the situation. If somebody is repeatedly violating your boundaries over and over and over again, you can't control that. You can't stop them. What you can do is remove yourself from the situation or from the relationship. So I hope this was helpful for you. And part of getting clean on boundaries and getting clear on boundaries is also learning how to respect other people's boundaries. So I hope that you're thriving. I hope you're practicing radical self-care. I hope you're getting the focus off of them and onto you to do the healing that you need to do in order for you to thrive and have a marvelous, beautiful life. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.